All right, welcome to In the Zone. Today we've got one of the inventors of punk rock with us, Marky Ramone.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello
nice
there. How
nice
are
to
you?
see you. I'm doing
Thank you
great.
very much.
So you've got this new memoir out.
Yes.
So Marky is the last surviving member of the Ramones. He's the last surviving member of the Ramones who's inducted into the Hall of Fame, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So it's a special treat to have you here.
Thank you. Thank
now,
you.
I call you one of the inventors of punk, not just because of your work with the Ramones,
Yeah.
but even before the Ramones,
Yeah.
you played with the Voidoids, Richard Hell. You played with Wayne County,
Great
the
bands.
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
So take me through how you were there in the beginning and the impact that you had on the scene.
Well, it was '74. We had no place to really play. The proprietor of CBGB's, Hilly Crystal, let us. So we were up against the music of the day, which was disco and stadium rock. So a lot of clubs didn't want to take that chance by permitting new genres of music to be played there. They stuck to the formula, which was disco and and of course Madison Square Garden, all the bigger places, stadium rock stuff. That's what was big at the time. So we just wanted to strip down the music, 2 minutes, and that's exactly what we did, which was a wall of sound, and that was the result.
And it took you guys a while for that to click. And now you say you wrote in the book that you're walking down the street and you see kids in Ramones T-shirts who probably have no idea what the Ramones or who the Ramones even are, or that it's even a band.
Well, what I assume is that I think that Ramones fans or people wear the shirts eventually, if they are wearing the shirt, they'll say, "Oh, let me hear the music."
Yeah.
And then some of them just having the audio, the records or whatever, CDs or downloads, they'll say, "Hey, I'll get the shirt." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So it's vice versa.
So I moved here in 1990, so I missed the heyday. But when I moved here, CBGB's was still here, the Continental was still open.
Yeah.
I mean, all the places were still here.
Yeah.
But now those are all gone. What's it like for you? I mean, you have these really great evocative passages in your book about you walking around New York in that time period. What's it like being there now? Or here now?
Well, you can't fight progress. I mean, that's the way things are. Things change. It was CBGB's had a long run. Any club who had a run for 30 years is very lucky. So it was the right time, in my opinion, to end it. Hilly was sick, and he was I think 75, and at that point, to be involved with a club, and also he was inflicted with cancer.
Right.
So it was unfortunate, and I think at that point he had enough.
Sure.
Especially getting hounded by the landlords that we want this, we want that.
The rents are just going up every year.
He had enough, and the gentrification obviously affected that. But for now, I don't know. I mean, I hope there are bands out there that will eventually consolidate something like CBGB's and all get together and start a scene again, maybe, hopefully, and reinvent that whole neighborhood.
So let's go back to that time. You joined the Ramones in 1980, correct?
78.
78.
Yeah.
So you joined in 78.
Right after Richard Hell and the Voidoids.
Right after the Voidoids, right after Blank Generation.
Right.
So you hook up with these guys, and you start having to deal with them on a daily basis other than just being a fan.
Yes.
So you talk about, let's just go through the guys. They're a really interesting group. So Joey, I knew he had mental health issues, but I had no idea the degree of his OCD.
Yes.
Kind of walk us through what you would have to do to get Joey out of his apartment and to a gig.
Well, it's an insidious disease, a sickness, but it has a lot of people have it.
Yeah.
Back then, we really didn't know.
Right. You didn't know what it was.
As much as obviously today we know about it. And he would have to tap something 4 or 5 times, and then we would have to drive him back to the airport. And once he got home, drive back to the airport to touch a piece of the sidewalk. And
he had to tap the curb, right?
He had to tap the curb, or he had to touch a banister or whatever, stairwell, what have you.
Sure.
And I was on a plane with him, and he was counting all the squares in the back of the seat, because in those days they didn't have vinyl leather, it was fabric. So he counted them. He had to make sure that each count was perfect. So it's kind of it's really it's a very confusing situation.
Yeah, and I know you're his friend and you want to help him, but I just can't imagine, like, 4, 5, 6 guys waiting on someone for that. How did you kind of keep it together? Did you just say, this is how it is, and if I'm going to be in the Ramones, this is part of it?
I didn't know what was going on, obviously being a new member in '78, but they thought he was doing it on purpose, which he wasn't.
Right.
And then obviously it affected the relationship with the band. But now we know what it is, and
sure.
There are things to help deal with it, certain medications. But back then we didn't know what it was, and again, I thought, and Dee Dee thought, he was just doing it to spite Johnny.
Sure.
Who he never got along with, unfortunately.
Now let's talk a little bit about Johnny. Now he's a big right winger. How do you ride in a van for 15 years with a guy that you have serious disagreements with? What's that like?
Well, you got to respect everyone's political beliefs.
Sure.
Like he respected mine, and that's his choice. We live in America, thank God, and we have our choice to vote for who we want to. It's a two-system party, and it swings both ways. I'm basically an independent.
Right.
Joey was a left-wing liberal, and Johnny was a right-wing conservative. Okay, there you go. Does that?
You guys were the entire spectrum in one Econoline van.
50-passenger Ford Econoline van. We all had our assigned seats, and it was cheaper than hiring a tour bus and paying a driver.
And then Dee Dee, of course, had probably the biggest drug issues of anyone there. Yeah. How did you stay away from the hard stuff? I know that you had problems with alcohol, but how did you stay away from the hard drugs that were out there?
I never believed in hard drugs and people taking them. I didn't think they were glamorous. I don't think it was cool. I was always afraid to put have a needle in my arm from a nurse when I had to get a blood test or whatever. I was never into that. I liked periodic drinking, having fun with the boys, going out, meeting other friends. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah, it sounded like it was a nonstop party back then. So you ended up being the as we mentioned earlier, the last remaining surviving member of the Ramones. Did you ever think how did you make it through, or the other guys, they weren't so lucky? Did you ever see yourself being the survivor?
Well, it's unfortunate that cancer isn't prejudiced towards any victim.
Right.
You can be the healthiest person in the world, and it'll inflict you. The thing is that first it was Joey, then it was Dee Dee, then it was Johnny, then it was Tommy.
Yeah.
I mean, Tommy was the one who told Dee Dee to ask me to join the group in 1978 when he decided to leave the group.
Right.
He was only in the band for 3.5 years. And I said to Dee Dee, sure he wants to leave, And we were right in the beginning of we were gonna do Rock and Roll High School, working with Phil Spector. The first song I recorded with them on Road to One was I Want to Be Sedated.
Right. Probably the classic Ramones song.
That and Blitzkrieg Bob.
Yeah, those are the two.
Yeah,
that everyone loves and remembers.
Yeah, and the thing was that now there's 4 gone. I'm the only link to them. And I feel I have a responsibility to continue to play the music live all over the world, for one reason, because I feel the songs are too good not to be played.
Well, I agree, and I want to thank you for coming by. The book is Punk Rock Blitzkrieg.
Yes.
It's out in January, online, and available in stores everywhere. Thanks so much for coming by.
Go to markyramone.com and get more information.
Yeah, go there.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hey ho, let's go.